Hi, sometimes it's fun to look back on holidays and remember. And there are the ones that stand out in our mind. And I have a particular Thanksgiving that I like to always share with people who are willing to listen. And it's called my Thanksgiving to Remember. This was about 25 years ago, maybe even more. And I'd say the year was around 1987. And my my son lived about 28 miles away, and my daughter did, and they lived with their father. And at the current time, all of them were unemployed. So I asked them what they were doing for Thanksgiving, and they said, well, they didn't know. And I decided that I'd be glad to make a nice big dinner and have everybody up, and they thought that would be a really good idea. And my son did have a car, so he would be driving them up. So I went out and I bought a lot of really special food. I bought 21-pound turkey because I wanted him to have plenty of leftovers. And I bought stuff for stuffing, and I got to tell you, I do make some good stuffing. I had, let's see, pecans and mushrooms and sage and raisins, all kinds of nice goodies like that were going to be in the stuffing. And they always like the fruit salad, so I got plenty of fruit, made a nice fruit salad, and real butter and rolls, and of course pumpkin pie and whipping cream and sparkling cider. They were all sparkling cider people. And let's see, we had sweet potatoes with the marshmallows, and there was cranberries, yeah, and cranberries. So it was the whole shebang, and they were supposed to come up at 2 o'clock, and that's when dinner would be served. So I lived in a small apartment. I made a big mess, but that's okay. You know, it was worth it, and they were certainly worth it. And I put together this amazing meal, and it got to be around 2:40, and nobody was there. You know, we had been in touch before the meal. I'd called, and they were still, you know, all gung-ho and excited about it and watching football. And so when it got to be about 2:40, I called again. I says, hey, you know, I'm really, what? You know, you guys are still at the house, you know, 28 miles away. And I was afraid they'd broken down on the road. And I just want to make sure, because traffic's pretty heavy in California when it's Thanksgiving. So they hadn't. They were trying to come up with who was going to put the money in the car for the gas. Now at that time it would have been $3, but you know, $3 was probably like about 6 or 7 now, and none of them seemed to have that money between them, or if they did, they weren't talking about it. So it got to be about an hour, and this food was, you know, prepared, and I called again, and they didn't know, you know, they were still arguing, and I called this place Dysfunction Junction because it was dysfunctional down there. And in the end, they just decided that they were going to go to the Veterans Hall and have their meal there. And I had this humongous meal that I had prepared, and, you know, I had nobody to feed. So it was just me and the cat in the apartment at the time. So I thought to myself, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this food? And I decided to brainstorm. I wasn't going to let them rain on my parade, because my parade had been that dinner, and you know, nobody showed up. So I thought, where would I be on Thanksgiving if I needed a Thanksgiving dinner and wasn't cooking one? And I thought, aha, the laundromat. Yeah. So I deducted that if somebody was at the laundromat, they probably didn't have a Thanksgiving meal, and maybe they were hard put for a wonder another word for just maybe they didn't even have money for a Thanksgiving meal or a family or whatever. But I did decide to take that trip, and I got my old car and I went down to the laundromat, and there was this very weary, very tired looking Hispanic woman there. And she didn't speak very much English. I could understand her, she could understand me, but she did have a very heavy accent and it was rather broken English. So, gee, that's not even, a Mexican holiday, Thanksgiving, so that made sense, that she wasn't home cooking a Thanksgiving dinner. And I said, I, I got bold. And it pays sometimes, when you're around, when you follow an act of crazy, you can, it's an easy act to follow. You can do crazy things. So I approached this woman and I said, by any chance, did you have a Thanksgiving dinner? And she said, no. And I said, would you like one? I said, I prepared a big Thanksgiving meal and my company could not come at the last minute. And if you'd like to take it home, I can bring it by and I can give it to you in the hope that you and your family will enjoy it. And she had kids at home, and I mean, she did have a big pile of laundry too. And I mean, she looked like somebody needed to do something for her. She looked really tired. And she said, yeah, she would like the meal. And I said, don't go anywhere. I'll be back. And next door to the laundromat was a liquor store, and I went in there and I got a cardboard box from them. And I went home. I lived about 5 blocks away. And it just so happened that I had cooked this big turkey, this 21-pound turkey, in a disposable roasting pan. And I usually didn't do that, but, I did this time. And maybe I was thinking about, mostly sending food home to my adult children and their father. And but anyway, for whatever reasons, I had that, and I actually had some disposable pie pans too. So I put that turkey in in the cardboard box in its aluminum pan and covered it up with tin foil, and I put the stuffing in a pie pan, and I stuck that bottle of bubbly in there and the butter, and I put a pan of sweet potatoes on top of that and the mashed potatoes, and I had a old butter container, and I put some gravy in that, and the rolls and the whipping cream and the pie on top. And I had taken a slice of that turkey and a little bit of that dressing, and I put that thing in my old Datsun, and I went down to that laundromat, and I blessed that woman with that dinner. And she was so happy to get it. And I don't know what she had to say down the line. If she went home and said there was this local, lady there that brought this to us, or she said, look what I brought home. And I don't know how it worked out. But I know how it worked out for me. It worked out for me that I felt good because I was able to give this meal to somebody who didn't have one and looked like they needed somebody to do something nice for them. And people in Vallejo, they got to watch their football and they got their free meal in the end anyway. And it didn't cost them any gas. And when I ever had another Thanksgiving meal, maybe if I was invited to somebody's house, I might go. But if I wasn't, I would go downtown, and I would go to the Veterans Hall too. And by golly, if it's good enough for the mayor, who always showed up, it was good enough for me. And I enjoyed it because I like people. So the message here is, don't ever let anybody rain on your parade. And somehow you can make lemon out of lemonade by just being creative and things work out the way they're supposed to. And besides, I got a good story out of this. It was fun. It was really fun, and it was like crazy. But sometimes crazy can be really fun.